Hey folks, welcome back. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. Special feature for you again, an exclusive interview with two of the South African refugees who've relocated to the United States. Now, in order to protect their identity because they have concerns, I've described them as safe in America now on your screen. That's not their actual name. And both of them, I'm using pseudonyms to address them. My guests tonight are Jan and Mariki, who are somewhere in the United States. And let me explain why we're protecting their identity. Of course, they have folks that they're concerned about back in South Africa, and the irresponsible conduct of a media who's intent on doxing and harming people for whatever reason is why we're doing this. So, Jan and Mariki, welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, Colonel. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So, am I correct? We're trying to protect your identity because you have concerns of what people might do to relatives back in South Africa.
Yes,
That's
Colonel,
correct, sir.
that's 100% correct, especially since one of the major political parties are quite active in our area, threatening white establishments there. So since we left our family behind on the farms, we a bit concerned about their safety.
I also, one of the reporters, when I told him I'm not interested to speak to him, he said, you must remember, he mentioned a thing that's very dear to my heart. And I said, listen, I'm not going to speak to you, so just drop it. You'll get in trouble if you use what you said you have. But yeah, I just said I'm not interested, so just leave me alone.
Mariki, without going any details, did this journalist essentially threaten you?
He just named something that that I'm on this side and I have family that side.
Yes. He actually tried to blame shifter into speaking to him. He said, how can you be concerned of your own safety, but you were willing to leave? And he mentioned the specific family members behind. So either you speak to us and you give us your side of the story, or that's the narrative that we're going to put out there.
Yeah, he didn't say it like that, but that was
implied. So he implied basically a threat that they would, expose or do harm to someone you care about if you didn't give the interview.
Yeah, it comes back to that. But as he said, I see that you left family behind, and you're in a country where you fled to. And I said, listen, you don't know my
circumstances,
and so that is it. And he said, okay, then.
Well, that's not shocking, but it is unfortunate to hear such a thing being said by people, especially in journalism. But it shows you just how dirty and underhanded people in this field can be. And my apologies for that. That's not the behavior of an ethical journalist. And obviously, I've not done that to either of you. You came to me and asked me to give you a chance to tell your story, correct?
Yes. Thank you, Colonel.
You're very welcome.
We just want the people out there to know what's really going on, and set it straight, because there's so many things being said, and there's been said that we come to America to just lay around and being lazy. We didn't come here for anything else. So there's a lot of things being said that's not true, and that there's nothing going on in South Africa, and the farm murders isn't as severe as we said.
Yeah, and on that point also, a lot of the media stated that it's only a bunch of car guards that came here, and we don't have any farming experience, etc. And that's one of the reasons we're not open to disclose our identity is because the family farms are still occupied by some family members who also expressed interest in the program when the emails opened, but they're still residing there. And with these attacks that we got from the journalist, we don't feel at ease to expose them. This morning there was an incident where someone on the that came with us on this refugee program, they were told either you speak to us or we contact your family members directly to speak to us. So then he did offer up some information and said, that's what I'm willing to share, but now you leave my family alone.
Yeah,
So,
this is criminal conduct on the part of so-called journalists. These are people that, if I have their names, I will expose them and I will report them to SAPS for their actions because it's unacceptable. And you are now under the protection of the United States Constitution, 750,000 law enforcement officers across this country, and 1.4 million active duty military, and other 600,000 or 800,000 reservists here. I think that perhaps these people need to rethink their efforts to harass you. But let's not dwell on that. Let's go beyond that right now. So you've arrived in the United States on Monday. How were you received? Not talking about Washington. People saw that on camera, but in your ultimate destination where you wound up, have the people been friendly? Have you gotten any help from relocation agents? What sort of thing is happening? Because if we believe the cock-prodding Afrikaners who are trying to leave their own people suffering in misery and fearful they're going to be murdered the next day, which apparently that's okay with some Afrikaners, or the lying media in South Africa and the politicians, you're living in FEMA tents. You won't be accepted. No one will greet you in America. You won't be allowed to exploit black labor here anymore. You will be exploited. These are all the nonsensical things that we've been hearing. So tell us a little bit about your arrival in your current destination, where you're at somewhere in the United States. What was that like? Jan, I'll let you start and then we get something from Mariki, okay?
Sir, when we arrived on the airport, every time we arrived at the different airports where there was layovers, everybody, even here where our final destination is, they accepted us with open arms. They're so helpful. With us, they took us to our temporary residence, which is a 4-bedroom house. So they brought us here. They said if we need anything, we must let them know. They drive us up and down to the shops. They took us sightseeing to see the scenery in our area. We went to the shops. We wanted to buy some personal items, and the agency said no, they will take care of it. So they are very accommodating. My kids, on the very first day we were here, they pitched up a little bit later in the afternoon because they said they're going to give us time to rest before we start with getting the process on our social security and everything going. So they pitched up with 2 brand new bicycles for the children to explore the neighborhood. So
wait a second. They exploit that. You just let them wander around the neighborhood. I mean, aren't you worried about people with pangas or people attacking your kids in the streets? How irresponsible are you?
Well, initially, the first day or two, after the bicycles was assembled, we actually wandered out with them because we were still feeling a little bit uneasy. But like this afternoon, we took them to the park just around the corner where we live. And the wind was blowing and it was cold and it's uncomfortable. And the kids was like, nope, they don't feel anything. They still want to play in the park. And I'm like, no, I'm freezing my butt off. I'm going to leave. And we left them at the park. It's absolutely immaculate. It's clean. There wasn't anybody in sight, so we had the ease of mind to leave them there because it's just around the corner. Whereas on the farm, we had 2 areas that we've designated for them. They can only travel between this vantage point and that vantage point, not to be out of sight. Even though it was behind locked gates, we were still scared that something might happen to them based on the history that happened in the area, and where we were attacked on the farm as well. So we definitely feel a lot more at ease. On our arrival, I asked them, how is it possible that you still have a gas braaier and a gas bottle left in your yard that's not chained to something? So
Yeah, because that wouldn't last very long in South Africa. It would have been gone by now, is your point.
yeah,
So let me
yeah.
cover a couple things before I get to Mariki. So Jan, did I hear you correctly? Because I would have sworn you told me that you were staying in a 4-bedroom house. I don't know how that's even remotely possible. I mean, poor Earl Langdon or somebody like that staying in a 2-star motel. The BBC told me that you're being treated poorly here. A 4-bedroom, by the way, that's bigger than my house. I should mention that. But I'm sure it's based on your family size. That's why they've done it.
Yes.
So I did hear correctly. You are staying in a 4-bedroom house.
Yes.
It's actually a B&B.
Yeah, it's a Airbnb that they rent per week now for us until they get the permanent accommodation. They did take us to have a look and say if we approve of the accommodation that they found for us. They found a lovely townhouse for us, which is 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. So we've approved that. They clearly stated.
Wait a second. I got to stop you there, Jan. What do you mean? You get to have a say in this? You get to say whether it's acceptable, and if it wasn't, they look for another one. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes,
no, this can't be true.
I've
heard it from authorities in South Africa that you'll be living in FEMA tents. I mean, I'm going to have to rubbish this whole story.
No,
that's a very nice scientific thing.
Yeah, that's exactly the truth. They took us there. They said we're under no obligation to accept it. This is the first property that they found for us, but they can explore more options if we're not happy. But we've decided that we will accept it. There's nothing wrong with the place. It's a perfect opportunity. We've got a backyard where the kids can play. It's in a safe neighborhood. So
Crescent where the children were playing.
Yeah, my kids were quite excited because they saw the children playing there, so they immediately saw the opportunity to make friends. And we said we're happy with it. So now our process can start as soon as we move in there. Then they can facilitate us with the food coupons, and they can help us with the driver's license. That's even something that they're willing to help us with our driver's license tests.
Right,
they've supplied us with the study material that we can study. We, much to the delight of my children, we're going to attend classes to get accustomed to the USA, so only the adults. So my children were like, yeah, now you can feel what we feel. We have to attend school. So
they have acculturation classes for you.
Yes. Okay. And it's all such nice people. We've met every single one of the people that's involved in our resettlement. There's not anybody that we could say that treated us badly or even remotely sounded a little bit rude.
So I'm going to talk to Mariki in just a moment. But before I do it, I'm going to give you an advanced acculturation class to save you a little time and give you a head start. You ready?
Yes.
All right. It's a traffic light, not a robot. Okay.
We actually did make that joke with the guy that took us for the sightseeing. We said, you know what this is called? A robot. And he's like, nope.
He also comes from Africa, so he understood exactly what we were saying.
All right. Well, okay. So let's try something else. We drive on the right side of the road, not the wrong side of the road in America.
I told Jan, I said, what's wrong with these people? Are they all drunk? They drive on the wrong side of the road.
No, we drive on the right side of the road, literally and correctly.
I did also offer some naturalization or culture perspective on SA. I told them that in SA, the cops are easily identifying which guys are drunk and which guys are sober, because the drunk guys drive straight through the potholes and the sober guys misses the potholes.
Exactly. Now that's a fair point. So it's a hood, not a bonnet. A bonnet is what the Voortrekker women wore when they were going through the bush up to the high
Yeah,
veld. So it's a hood,
I
not a
didn't know
bonnet.
that.
And then, of course, it's a trunk, not a boot. A boot is what the Canadians say when they want to say about, or it's what you wear on your feet.
Huh? I didn't
All right.
know that.
All right, so there you go.
Remember,
So there's some advanced acculturation. You're ahead of the game already. All right, let me shift my focus to Mariki now. Mariki, you but first off, you before I get to, you guys are farmers. You're among the few farmers, or some of the farmers that actually went, correct?
yes,
Okay,
we
so
both
Mariki,
did farming.
sorry,
We both did the
you both
farming.
did farming. Okay, so Mariki, as a mom with kids whose safety is paramount and you're concerned about, I would imagine that played a role in your decision to express interest and then be fortunate enough to be in the first cohort to go over. Is that true?
Yes, that's true.
So,
I did wanted my whole family to come to this side, but unfortunately, some of them had responsibilities still on that side. So that is one of the reasons that one of my family members couldn't come with us, and the other one said that she's happy where she is now. She's not willing to move right now because she can't leave. She already started to build also a family that side, and they are not willing to come over. So she decided to stay with them.
that's understandable. So, your impressions of arriving at the location right now, how have you seen it? We heard how Jan has seen it. He seems overwhelmingly positive about what's happened so far and the people he's met. Are you having the same experience?
Yes, I'm absolutely so happy to be here. The people treated us so well, and even on the plane, when we spoke to the flight attendants, they when they heard what's going on in South Africa, they said they can't believe it. They didn't see any of that. And they also thought that it was just stories. But when we told them what was going on there, they were shocked, and they said, and they understand it better now, and they will also tell the people that they have contact with that that is what's really going on, and it's not just stories that's been told. Um, and also upon our arrival, they were so nice. We immediately felt the love. And when we arrived here at the B&B, I told him, listen, guys, there's something terribly wrong here. And the guy said, what? I said, there's no walls around this place, and there's no burglar bars. There's no security doors. What's going on? And he started laughing. And I looked around in the neighborhood. The cars are standing in the street.
Yeah.
The people don't put it behind locked garages. The garages are standing open. I said, what? What's going on here?
Welcome to the real country. Now, don't get me
Oh,
wrong.
just
There are places in America where people have bars in inner cities and East LA and places like that. But in much of America, the experience you're having is what people have. As I've said many times, I foolishly left my keys in my door when I was working at the Army War College because I come home and knackered at night, my arms full. I'd unlock the door, open it up, and carry the things in, and then shut the door and forget my keys are there. No one ever dared come in my home. No one ever dared go in my car if I left it unlocked. My car sits outside the garage. My truck sits in the garage, and then the rest of the garage is full of junk. I mean, stuff. So that's just kind of how it goes. Well, that's a very interesting experience for you. It's got to be quite different. Talking to Thea on Sunday, she said that she's still adjusting and has not quite gotten back to REM sleep, where you don't have to just jump at every little sound. Are you adjusting? Have you gotten good night's sleep so far, or are you still kind of in that, your mind is in a panic mode because it just doesn't seem real?
When we arrived here, the first few nights, overall, I don't sleep much. I think it's the custom that we got used to in South Africa, where my dog's been poisoned at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I didn't sleep much, and I think that came along with me. So the first few nights, I lied awake most of the night, and also Jan, he also lied awake with me. I'm currently on sleeping tablets to help me sleep, but it's actually not working. I can take them; it's not doing me anything. But just to ease my brain and put it off and off in a relaxed mode. The first few nights we lied awake, and I think the last 2 nights I slept like a baby. It was really nice to get a good night's sleep. And when I wake up in the morning, I think my body's just not used to it. Then I'm so tired of all the sleep.
Hey, you'll
You know,
adjust.
we
But
made
I mean, but Jan and Marieke, you also have to remember that you're also dealing with, at least for the first week or so, the time difference because your body's 6 or more hours ahead, depending where you're at. So, I just came back from South Africa yesterday, or a couple of days ago, excuse me, a couple of days ago, and I had to adjust as well. But I'm accustomed to that. I've been doing it my whole life. But for people who've never adjusted those time zones, it takes a while for your body to get its circadian rhythms into sequence. And I think that's part of what you're experiencing right now. But within a couple of weeks, you should be right as rain.
I told my wife that I think our internal clocks are broken because
Yeah.
when it's supposed to be wake up time in SA for us like 5 or 6 in the morning, so 11 at 12 or 12 at night this side we'll wake up thinking, okay, we've spent the whole night sleeping, and then we rest it out. Then we'll go the whole day from 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock at midnight until the next night before we actually go to sleep. And something that we also need to adjust is the light outside. Where
Yes.
we are now, only at 9:30 at night, it still looks like it's the middle of the day.
Yeah,
The
that's
sun
something
goes
you're gonna
down
have to
very
get.
late.
That's something you have to get adjusted to in the summertime here in North America because our latitude is so much higher than what your latitude is in the southern hemisphere that we actually have daylight much later in our summertime. In the wintertime, though, we have shorter days. So, South Africa can pretty much count on the sun being gone at 6 p.m., winter or summer, but that's not the case in North America, and you're discovering that. I got to tell you, when I first went to Germany, which is at an even higher latitude than where we are in the United States, my first night there in June of 1984, the sun was still up at 10:30 at night. And I'm like, what the heck? I was out walking around. I'm like, I better get back. It's 10:30 at night.
My one friend that stays here, I have a lot of friends actually that stay in Canada and all these places. She said, listen, I have to prepare you. In the full summer, you will only have 2 or 3 hours darkness. The rest will be daylight outside. You have to have the blackout curtains. Please make sure that you do that. And that's important because I couldn't even sleep with a charger light shining or a phone light shining at night. It had to be pitch dark for me to sleep.
Understandable. So Jan, you're actually a farmer, and is your intent? Do you hope to farm in America? And do you have any plans on that, or you look to go do some other work?
Sir, if I've got the opportunity, I would like to do farming again. Currently, I told them I'm willing to sweep the streets if that is needed, just to settle in and get going. But yeah, farming, we grew up on the farm. That's our backbone is farming. We weren't as fortunate to have this big machine, so we planted everything by hand and harvested everything by hand. Our latest venture was 90,000 cabbages that we've planted by hand, me and my wife and 2 workers. We planted every single plant with them by hand. We harvested by hand. So yeah, it was early mornings, late nights to get the same thing done.
Backbreaking work, but we enjoyed it so much.
It's satisfying to see what comes out of nothing.
Well, the only people doing that in America are people who have hobby gardens. Farmers here are using machinery for that sort of function. So that might be a bit of shock to you, but I think you'll find it be less backbreaking having machinery and automation to help you do the farming should you get back into it. I hope that if that's what you want to do, you're able to do wherever it is you're located here in the States. We know the location, folks, but we're protecting it to protect their identities, just so you know that. And I can assure you that where they're at actually has a very robust, well-established farming community. So if there's an opportunity, I suspect that Jan and Mariki will be able to latch onto it. So Jan and Mariki, either one of you or both can answer this question. Are you just now realizing how things are different from a standpoint that in South Africa, your kids will be in school, but now school is coming to an end, so they're not even going to start the year. They'll only start in the late summer, early fall, and that's an odd situation, I would imagine, for folks who are used to their kids going to school most of the year.
Yeah, it is, but fortunately, the ages of our kids' kernel allow them to remain home and look after themselves. Because the eldest one is going to stay behind is of a legal age, barely of a legal age to stay behind, but they are brought up safely and they were brought up responsibly. So, and in SA, we wouldn't have left them at home at all.
No
we
way.
always had someone to cover. We took them to a family member or something if we had to do tasks. Whereas now, I will actually feel comfortable leaving them at home and knowing that they will be safe and we will find them safe when we come back from work.
Yeah, because everyone over 18 must work. So the 3 adults of us will be working, and we will have that peace of mind to know that they are safe at home.
Well, that's a good point. But what I was getting at is that in South Africa, they would be in school right now. But here in America,
Yes.
school is ending. So they actually have a vacation for the next few months, which must be very strange to you. And also, a strange thing is that you've just left summer and now you've come to summer in America. So you're going to experience
Oh,
summer
we're so
for half a
glad.
year. What's that?
Yeah, it is strange for us to be here and they're not going to school, but they are ecstatic.
Yeah, I think for the kids, we chose the perfect time for them to come this side because they've got approximately 3 months that they can explore and get to know their new home. So I think they are quite excited about that. I know my daughter is on our very first day here. She went around knocking on doors, telling everybody, hi, we new in the neighborhood. Do you have any kids that we can play with?
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, Jelle praat Afrikaans, but do you speak English in self-defense? And what about your kids? How's their English? Because by the end of 3 months, if it's not very good, it should be astounding when they go to school.
No, my kids are actually performing better in English than in Afrikaans.
Oh.
Yeah, my son got awards for the best English speaking pupil in the class. So yeah, they I think, and that's thanks to the stuff that they exposed to, because they grew up with the majority of the stories that they've watched in English. All the platforms that's available for entertainment purposes are in English, so they're more efficient in English speaking than I am.
Well, yes, because it does sound like you speak English in self-defense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I thought Auntie Thea earlier, I'm trying to roll my R's like she did, and I assumed it would look like I'm getting a stroke or something, trying to pull my face to just slightly articulate the sounds that she's making.
And Auntie Thea is an amazing person. On the flight, we gotten quite close and attached to her. We love her so much. She's an amazing person.
We were fighting on who's going to take her with them, because it was our family and another family that was kind of having a tug of war on who's gonna end up with her, because we all wanted her to come with us.
Well, I have to say that from my perspective, I mean, she is being rubbished by people back in South Africa, and that's sad and unfortunate. But from my
Yeah.
perspective, she's a very courageous person. She contacted me and said she'd like to do an interview. We did that. I don't know if you knew that we did it before you guys left, and I held
Yes.
that until you were all safely on the ground. That was very courageous in my view.
It
Yeah,
was,
she,
and we see how she's been torn apart afterwards, and also the everyone that spoke up and said something, they are being pulled apart, and the people are digging into their parts just to find something that they can use against them, and that's also one of the reasons that we're not willing to speak, because they take a small thing and blow it up and use it against that people to make them look like this monsters or this um, terrible
Grifters or
people where
opportunists.
they're not.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really
Colonel, I
sad the
just,
behavior that's going on in South Africa. As I said, it comes from your own people. Afrikaners are doing it to other Afrikaners. These are the sort of people who sold you out in the past in different encounters with Africans and with other Europeans, and they continue to do it in the 21st century. That's unfortunately
mm,
one of the aspects of the Afrikaner community. There's always someone who's willing to destroy their own people.
That's the reason why South Africa can't be a great place. The people are not willing to stand together. We stood together, black or white. We stood together in every workplace that we worked. When we left, they were crying about us. The black people were crying and said, "Please don't leave. You are the people that we can trust and that we are close to. Please don't leave." So that is the response that we got. At the one place I worked, I was the only white person in the whole company on the side that I worked. And they actually cried when I left.
That's the
Colonel,
tragic part
can
of this
I?
too, is that you folks are leaving, and it's more than just your immediate family. It's the fact that it's your communities and the people you interact with, and whether they're black, white, or brown. I suspect a lot of people are going to be saddened by your departure.
Yeah.
Exactly, Colonel. And may I please just add, it was so delightful to watch your interview with Tanifia earlier. Um, to see her blossom like she's blossoming, we saw a completely different lady in the hotel in the airport that was
Yeah.
stressed out and anxious and scared. So it was such a relief for us, because we are concerned about her as well, because we know her story. So it was such a relief to see her on your show and how great she looked. I told her earlier, it was so nice for us to see how she seems to blossom now. So, yeah, so we can just say thank you to everybody. Thank you to you, Colonel, for giving us all the information. And thank you to the United States government for allowing us this opportunity to raise our kids in this safe space. I said one of the sad things is that I said in essay, my kids will never have the chance to experience the same childhood like we did, where we in early preschool and early primary school had the freedom to walk around on the farm, go into the mountains. My kids will never be able to experience that. And now my kids are experiencing that. They are allowed to go to the park alone. They are allowed to drive their bicycles out of sight. So it's such a relief. And if we have to do this all over again, we will 1,000 times do it over.
So that raises another question. You're Afrikaners. Are you at all concerned, or is it even not even that important an issue to you about your culture and the fact that you're not in a place with other Afrikaners for the most part? Are you concerned your kids will lose their Afrikaner heritage, or is it something that you'll inculcate in them as they grow up, or is it really not important? The most important thing is that you're safe.
I think first and foremost is they need to be safe. But we have extended family that's still in SA. So we will definitely retain our Afrikaner culture. I do believe that. We will retain speaking Afrikaans, and we were told by Charlize Theron once that there's only 44 Afrikaans speaking individuals, so I don't want to make any cut into that number. So I'd rather we retain that, and I think it's possible, and I think it's doable because even though we want to fit in and naturalize in America, it's important for me, for our kids to remember where we come from, what's our foundation, of not only myself but their grandparents and everything. So I think we will retain our Afrikaner culture. I'm just hoping that my English will sharpen up a little bit, because everybody can on a mile hear that I'm not local.
Well, I'm pretty sure that you can improve your English proficiency, but that accent's not going away, brother. You're going to have a hard time getting rid of that accent. That's and don't try to.
English very deliciously.
Yeah, it is very deliciously, but that's not what we say in English, and we're American English. No, but I don't worry about that. Everybody comes from somewhere. I have an accent. I have a Midwestern accent, but I live in Pennsylvania, which is not the Midwest, but it fits in perfectly here. So don't sweat it. Everybody comes from somewhere. So let's see what else we could talk about here very quickly. But you're right. Charlize Theron did say, I think famously 44 Afrikaners, something like that. But there were at least 59 of you on this flight. Speaking of which, I've gotten from a couple of sources, and if you can confirm this because you're on the flight, this, of course, is being rubbished by the media, claiming that this is racist by Donald Trump, that it's for white people, that it's for farmers. And from the very outset, I said this is not farmers. There's no mention of farmers in the executive order. There's no mention of white people in the executive order. It says Afrikaners suffering unjust racial discrimination. And I've said that Afrikaners are broader than just white people. That's my description, but that doesn't matter. It's up to the government. However, I understand, and the media has failed to report this, that there were at least a colored couple who were part of your cohort that came over. Can you confirm that, in fact, there was a colored couple that was part of the 59 that came over?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
the husband were colored and the wife were white.
Okay, all right. So one colored person came over, but I was told it was only white people. I guess I got bad information from South African media again.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true to their custom.
And not everyone were farmers. There were farmers on the flight, but not everyone were
We've
farmers.
spoken to plenty of the people on the flight who's we're still in contact with each other. We've got a group, we bugger off to America group. So we all on that group speaking with each other, and plenty of the people in the group is not farmers. So that's also a rubbish statement.
And also someone on the other side asked me, listen, there was someone there were people on the flight that's been deported, and I said, that's rubbish. I speak to everyone. We speak to each other every day, and all of the 59 is still here. There's no one that's been deported.
Yeah, in fact, some idiot in Port Elizabeth was running around spreading rumors that everyone had been sent back. It's ridiculous. We've covered how that works. It's not going to happen anytime soon. Yeah, it's really sad how the media attracts rubbish to be journalists, and it's a shame. And I'm sorry that you've experienced this sort of stupidity that's going on there. But it does sound like you're adjusting quite well for just a week in, and I suspect that you're looking forward to what comes ahead.
Yes,
Yes,
Colonel,
we're very
we're
excited.
very excited. I think the guys here has gotten a culture shock, because in our first orientation class that we attended, they gave us a basic instruction like, when you get up from a table, you push the chair in. And I'm like, seriously, do you need to teach someone that?
Yes, you do, because you have to understand that we're getting people coming from cultures that oftentimes haven't even had tables in their lives. or chairs.
Oh,
So that's
So-
why they're teaching things like that. So you're getting probably the generic course that we give to refugees from all over the world, and it's necessary to do a baseline thing. Some cultures don't use utensils to cook with. That's considered quite rude in an American dining experience, unless you're eating specific things like corn on the cob or steamed crabs or something like that. But generally, you're not eating with your hands; you're eating with utensils. That's also something that's frequently taught to refugees because that's not something some cultures have. So don't take offense. I don't think you did, but don't take offense to it. Some people do
we
have to be
didn't.
taught those things. It's just, it's unfortunately a necessity. Now, Thea told me that they've become a little more careful with the refugee program, and they put you in temporary housing because they find out that a lot of people are so desperate to get here, they'll say, "Yeah, I'll go anywhere," only to find out they actually had relatives in another state, or they had skills that would be applicable in a better place, and then they have to move them a second time. So with your group, they've been very conscious of your desires. Now, let me ask this question. Did you wind up where you asked to go? Did you ask to go anywhere, or did you wind up where they sent you? Not that it's important. I'm just curious.
So they did ask us if there's any place of preference that we would prefer,
And you did not say Colonel Wyatt's front lawn, correct?
yes, we did.
we did actually.
Ah,
No,
God,
we
no.
didn't.
Anyway,
No, I was teasing them. They asked me, "Do I know any Americans?" And I said, "Yes, Colonel Chris Wyatt, so we can maybe move there."
did you really?
I did.
Oh,
Tell
dear
the
God.
consulate people that
Oh.
I know Colonel Chris Wyatt, so I would feel comfortable living quite close there. So
So what happened when you said that?
no,
They were
they were
laughing.
just laughing at us. So yeah, so we mentioned two states to them. We mentioned Indiana and Mississippi. But I did make it vividly clear to them that we're not bound to those states. We are willing to go wherever they choose. Um, and I'm happy that we've ended up where we
Yes.
are, especially seeing that agriculture is such a big thing in our area. When we came in, I was telling my wife that I think they did a study of our demographic area where we stayed, because this looks very familiar, the mountains and everything. So we felt at home when we came in with the airplane and we saw these mountain ranges and the farmlands with the pivots and everything. So we were quite amazed and happy
surprised.
with where we ended up, and we think that there's method behind them placing us in certain areas, because we immediately felt at home when we just came in with the airplane. Everything seemed so familiar to us.
And also the people, when the caseworker said the community are so anxious to meet us and help us, that actually made us feel so at home, and it actually brought tears to my eyes that people will be willing to go that far to help us and be so nice to us. And then also when I asked them about the tornadoes, they told me there's no tornadoes here. And I was ecstatic because I went through it as a child. In SA, we had a tornado, so that is something that's been with me my whole life. If the wind just blow a little bit strong, I would get anxious and try to hide somewhere. And I was worried about that when I came to America, and they told me, no, there's no tornadoes here. And I was like, oh, that must be a sign. So I'm feeling right at home here, and we are very happy to be here.
Now, of course, lots of the South African media watch my content. They're always watching it, so they're probably trying to suss out where you're at now. So I can tell you the following: since they're in a place where there's no tornadoes and there are mountains, they're clearly not in Nebraska or Kansas, and I'll leave it at that. But people are trying to guess where you're at. But if you're guessing about mountains, we have over 30 states, 35 states with mountains, so that's not going to help you. Good luck with that one. We have the majority of our states don't experience tornadoes, so good luck with that one. Those trying to suss out where they're at. But I do, in fact, know exactly where you're located at, and I will tell you that, in my view, you really did get the golden ticket. You wound up in a fantastic location with great opportunity and lots of things to do indoors and outdoors for you and your kids. And I think you're going to settle in there very well. In North America, you will discover the seasons, and it's a bit different in South Africa, and we'll see how you adjust to that. But aside from the weather, in the part of the country where you're at, I think that you're going to truly love your location. Of course, we know that the media said that you're forced to stay there. They've put ankle bracelets on you, so you can't travel more than a few kilometers without setting off an alarm. Why are you laughing? Is that not true?
No, no, it's definitely not true. We're more free here than we were in South Africa. So,
well, I mean, I'm just listening to the media in South Africa. That's where I'm getting my stories from. So, but seriously,
the media are talking nonsense.
Of course they are. So, listen, guys, it's incredibly generous of you to join me here this evening. What I usually like to do is give my audience the last few words, or my guests the last few words, not the audience. The audience can be quiet. This is for the guest. But let me, since we're recording this, let me give you both a chance to share your thoughts and also open the door up if you want to come back on at some point to talk about maybe some great development, or maybe you've got in your permanent house or things are going well. We can do that again later on. But tonight or today, I would like to just give you both a chance to give me your final thoughts. So why don't we do this reverse order and let the ladies go first? Mariki, anything you'd like to share with people in South Africa who are contemplating expressing their statement of interest, maybe coming over, or those who decide to stay there? Some thoughts about your experience, or just something to reassure people if you think that's necessary about what it's like, because we all know that this has been falsely reported by so many people, and you're experiencing it firsthand. So I'd like you to give your thoughts. Mariki, you go first, and afterwards I'll ask Jan as well. Okay? So Mariki, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thanks, Colonel. I would advise people that side to do this. This is the best decision that I took in my life to come here. And I also, one of our children she wants to become a flight attendant, and here actually she's getting the chance to do that. And the agency are also willing to help to get her enrolled and get her studied and everything. You won't get that in South Africa. I'll advise this to anyone, and most of my friends and family that were scared to come here, they didn't know what was going to happen. When they see what when the messages that I sent them and the way that I tell them that things happened on this side and how the people are accepting us, I now have a lot of friends and family that are putting in their emails or everything and
their statement of interest
applications, to come this side. So I think if they tell that, they ask you if you have friends and family this side, I think if all of them tell that I'm here, this place will be streaming with people, because everyone is rushing over here now. They saw what we're going through. They see that we are happy and safe and how relaxed we are. And this is a total 360-degree turn of life. It's really amazing to be here.
All right. Thank you, Mariki. Now, Jan, before you answer, I mean, I'm sorry to point this out, but I did hear her say that the best decision of her life was to go to America, not to marry you, brother. So, I mean, I don't want to cause any marital discord, but I thought I'd just point that out. She did say it. So you guys can sort that out later today amongst yourselves. But now that I've pulled the pin on that hand grenade and thrown it into your marital bliss, Jan, what are your thoughts?
I'm very glad that you brought this up, Colonel, because we had to get married twice because the marriage officer took our fingerprints in blue instead of black. So she then teased me and say, now I'm going to have to take her out twice a year for anniversary. So now I've got something to negotiate my way to only one dinner, because she chose the move to USA above me.
But I came here with you, so that's still the same.
No. I'm sorry, Mariki. He's got one on you there. You get 1 day, not two. Jan, so please
Okay.
share with us any closing thoughts or points you'd like to make for people to reassure them, or any shortcomings, things that could have been better if you want. But the floor is yours.
Well, sir, having gone through a farm attack ourselves where three of my family members in the house was shot, the relief that we've experienced this side is tremendous. We literally didn't sleep at night for every single sound. We woke up to listen and hear what's going on. So, yeah, my wife said it was quite disturbing because the farmhouse where we stayed, we were attacked in that house. They fired 67 shots that night. So if she turned on her side, she could literally touch the bullet hole in the wall, and the door frames was still full of bullet holes. The middle of the doors, when we pushed the door closed, they were thinking that my dad was standing in front of the door, so they shot through the middle of the door at him. So all that is still evident in the house. We got asked by a lot of people why are we still there. It's because that's our heritage and that's where we were brought up. But I'm saying that if it wasn't for my children, I think we would have endured everything that we did and remained there. But as a parent, I need to ensure their safety, and they're definitely not safe in South Africa. So, second to me, marrying my wife, that was the best decision ever.
Wise move there, Jan. Hey, listen, guys, I gave you the last word, but I do want to ask another question because I want your thoughts on this because you have children. Thea doesn't have children with her, but both of you brought your children with you to the States. And President Ramaphosa famously, just a couple days ago, called the 59 refugees cowards. And by my account, about half of the people in that group were children, most under the age of 5. What are your thoughts about someone calling your children cowards and your children had no say in what's going on?
We are
So, yeah,
proud cowards.
I'm then the proud parent of a coward because we did this to ensure that our kids have a future and a bright future, I might add. So he can call us cowards. It doesn't have any negative bearing on any of us. We know the truth. We know what we've experienced, and no one will belittle us. We take it from who it comes from.
And we thick-skinned.
Yeah, and we thick-skinned. So they can throw us with these insults, and we'll take it on the chin.
Excellent. Well, thank you for answering that final question. Jan and Mariki, I really appreciate you joining me for this conversation. And thank you for sharing your story. And I hope that it helps others who are contemplating their decisions and their futures to reassure them that all the stuff that they've heard is just a bunch of nonsense. So I want to thank you both, Bye Bye Donkey, for your time. And I want to wish you very best at your new home in Hawaii. Oops, I let it out. You're in Hawaii.
Bye, donkey, sir.
Thank you, Colonel, and thank you for everything that you're doing to inform the people. And yeah, if I can utter one wish, it's for everybody who wishes to come this side to be helped and assisted in order to establish this move. We know firsthand what the difference is and what the weight of our shoulders being lifted off feels like. So I do pray and I do wish that every single person that's living in peril and in fear gets the same opportunity as we have.
Folks, you've been listening to a conversation with two South Africans who came over under President Trump's refugee resettlement program in the first cohort of 59 folks. They've confirmed tonight what I've already reported. No major media outlet on the planet is reporting that there was, in fact, not an entirely white group in the cohort, but in fact, a colored gentleman came across married to a white lady. So we've covered that story. They shared their experiences thus far, and it seems to be overwhelmingly positive. These are not their real names, Jan and Mariki. These are names I chose as pseudonyms to protect their identity because of the reprehensible behavior of the media. I hope that you found this helpful and informative, and I want to thank you and stay tuned as other folks approach me. I will give other folks an opportunity to share their story objectively. And that's what we're trying to accomplish here is get the word out. Again, I'm not the refugee guy. I'm not encouraging anyone to leave South Africa. I'm heartbroken that anyone would feel the need to leave such a wonderful country, but I cannot sit in the shoes of the people who've made this decision. It is in their interest to make that decision. They've done it, and that's that. So there you have it, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to leave a comment behind. Unless you're a hate wanker, then keep walking, take it on the shoes, take it on the arches, foot sec, and keep moving. All right. Once again, thank you to my guests, Jan and Mariki, tonight. I really appreciate it. Bye donkey. And to thank you all those who view the program. Be sure to hit the like button if you're not a subscriber, become one, and we'll keep you informed. God bless and good day.